Yeah, so I was having a conversation with a friend the other day about glow-ups. You guys have glow-ups? Anyone had a glow-up here?
Yeah!
Yeah? Okay, that's fucking arrogant. So I asked my friend, like, oh, like, what was my glow-up? Like, because she'd known me since for years. And she was like, yeah, I think, like, when your teeth stopped growing independently of each other, you really came into your own. I was like, okay, well, Abby, if we're talking about teeth, I'm fucking sick of watching you take your Invisalign out every 5 minutes. It's like a fucking overbred pit bull. But yeah, this is actually a really big gig for me, you know, because my parents are also here. Yeah, they're just right here. They do this like really funny thing, like when we're in public and I talk to them, where they like avoid eye contact, pretend not to know me. But it's like it's just like our thing. But they did also decline to introduce me. So, no, but I kind of like I have a quite fun relationship with my mum. Was anyone here like? Did you kind of have that moment where you became friends with your mum? Yeah. Like and it stopped being that's great, right? It's like a really good feeling and. I think it was really good for us because like me and my mum really share our relationship through the online content that we share with each other. And my mum, like, she's kind of slowly become like more woke and she's kind of found herself and like it's really interesting, but also kind of quite awkward as well. Because kind of the podcast started out with like Richard Branson's The Desert Island Discs and then developed to a swelling problem. Racism in the erotica industry. Yeah. And then, the news articles went from, like the best jobs for economics graduates in 2010 to Greg Wallace's struggles to find love. And she said that with, she kind of, in the email, she said, God, if Greg Wallace is struggling, I don't know how you're going to do. Context. Sorry. This is what Greg Wallace looks like. I don't have many asks in life. Good meal, a stable pound to dollar ratio. I do ask that my mum thinks I'm fitter than Greg Wallace. And there are a few Americans and internationals in the audience, so and I know that and a lot of people here might be thinking, I don't know who Greg Wallace is, and like fair enough. But kind of, I've got a little guide here for you because you may have actually confused Greg Wallace with Tom Kerridge, another bald BBC chef. You may have also confused him with Heston Blumenthal, another bald BBC chef. But it's not only bald people that you may have confused Greg Wallace with, because there are also some balding people on the BBC that kind of look similar to him, like Claire Balding. But no, this story really is about Greg Wallace. And that is a picture of Greg Wallace in that article. Yeah. So I think Mum was also criticising my body as well as my hair. So yeah, and I think a lot of people here are going to be like, why are you hating on Greg Wallace so much? And I just want to read you a couple of quotes from this article that made me feel like it was okay to take the piss out of Greg Wallace. So just some background, Greg Wallace was struggling to date and he was kind of talking about struggles. So here we go. People like me can't go on dating apps, and these days you can't tell anyone at work that you like them. If you were ever looking for a succinct way to tell someone that you'd had 5 complaints held up against you by HR, Greg's got you sorted. And there aren't any discos to meet anyone at. No shit, Greg, they haven't been called discos for 35 years. And then the last one, which I really loved. Before I met Anna, people were saying to me, Greg, be careful out there, meet a nice girl. What? Meet someone who's never seen me on telly before? How's that happening? Greg, if Jane, my neighbour, who printed off these lovely photos of me, didn't know who you were, I think you're okay. So I think I know I come across as a bit like bitter and angry, and I am. So I kind of want to end on a story that's quite close to me. So this is a story of someone being racially insensitive to me. So I'm 17 years old, and I'm going to my first phone party, and I'm really excited. You know, my teeth are kind of like 70% of the way there, and I walk on, and this guy, geezer, proper geezer, he looks me up and down, and he's like, "Fucking hell, look at this Slumdog Millionaire." Weren't meant to laugh at that. It was a real 2-for-1, because something that was so hurtful, yet so culturally relevant. Because Jai Ho was played later that night. You were there! And you know, it was I kind of really thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, mate, like, you've really thought about that. Like, you know, that's not a run-of-the-mill insult. He's like really thought, okay, wait a minute. And I was like, shit, yeah, man, he was probably at his like fucking, you know, racist EDL meetings. Right, so yeah, me and Tommy have had our meeting, and yeah, insults for the week are Anwar from Skins, Life of Pi, and Sir Ben Kingsley's portrayal of Gandhi. Actually, Tony, we can't use Sir Ben Kingsley because he actually did brownface for that film, so I don't think it's really appropriate. For fuck's sake, Clyde, did I not tell you to check IMDb? The thing is, Tony, I did actually check IMDb, and the only references I could come up with are other Dev Patel ones, and you told us that we've used all of our Dev Patel references for the quarter. I do actually think there's a real problem of underrepresentation in mainstream media. Guys, you have been amazing. I am Vishnu Lal.